Would you introduce yourself for this interview?
Yeah, my name is Kelli Cappello, and I'm a textile artist. Yes.
So just to explore a little bit your work, I have some questions for you. And then you go whatever you want to say. The first question, what aspects of Joan Miro, which is the exhibition we have now, well, and him and his work, of course, it influenced you in your designing, preparing, and doing your art?
Okay, so I know I wrote some more notes. It's okay that I look at them.
Sure.
So when I was thinking about it, there was quite a few things. For me, there was colour, definitely line, a sense of play and movement in a lot of Miro's works. The way he also used found objects or materials, and then a little bit of the symbology or the symbolism in his language. Colour was, I was really interested in how for the constellation series he did, a lot of the background colours just sort of seemed to morph from one end to the other. Lines, I was also really looking for works that I thought, well, I could stitch that line, or I could do something similar, something that had textile quality in the way it was presented, and definitely movement. Like, I love that. That is my almost. Yeah, and that play, that sense of play. Yeah, anyway, so that's kind of
good. The second one we have, can you describe your creative process for the, how you put it all together?
Yeah.
What was it like for you?
Yeah. Well, it took me a while to kind of arrive to think where I wanted to be, and I spent a long time reading about Miro, looking at his different works, and I kept coming back to constellations, and then and a quote. I'll talk a little bit about that later. So my process was, once I kind of got on with the idea that I wanted to use the sky and the night sky in general, I went and just started to gather up images of Miro's constellations, and then I went to some op shops and got just these books, these sort of books, and started visiting libraries and just started to find all those sort of things that I remembered looking at as a child, because my brother was really into the universe and the solar systems and pictures of the planets, and I remember sitting in his bedroom and going through his books. I didn't have them, but and so this was sort of where I started. And then once I had, say for example, for this piece, once I had an idea for him that I wanted to work with, what was the name of the work? Oh, this is why I need my notes.
Right.
There's so many. This one. I think it's a nightingale at midnight, and something about rain in the morning is the title. It's quite a long title, but as you can see, one of the lines really struck me, and every time I look at those lines, my brain kept wanting to. I was thinking about the star maps. So this was like 3 images that came together in my brain. Wow. So then there was the southern sky at night, the star maps.
Southern sky at night, beautiful, yes.
That I took some inspiration from, and that's kind of mixed in there as well. And then the third image was the way we see the Milky Way in Australia. So, and then I found this image in a second-hand book,
gorgeous.
The Milky Way over Ayers Rock.
Yeah.
And so these sort of ideas of, I suppose, all these starts from the southern point of view. I also did some research on the First Nations people and how they view nice guy compared to us, but I found that one kind of quite hard to kind of touch on. And so from there I would just sit with these 3 images in front of me and I would stitch. And because I was sort of at first trying to emulate that background, that merging of colours, that transition of colours in Miro's work, I wasn't dyeing the cloth, I was just using what I had in my very overflowing use. Yeah, but I have a lot of textile stuff that I collected now, and a lot of it's just either found in op shops or someone's got some scraps. There's a second-hand textile place down the road from me that takes people's donations, and they've got this great big bin. It's just full of free stuff.
Wow.
So I can go in and just pick up something that's like that big. I'll tuck that in and take it home for free.
Nothing to something.
Yeah, and then, so once I knew I definitely wanted the moon and I wanted some of the stars and those colours, I sort of just got about trying to bring those things in there. And there's like little things in there that are me, like there's the star sign for Libra is in there, Southern Cross is in there, a tea bag.
Tea bag.
It's rose petals.
Worse.
And just other bits and pieces that I kind of found. So my process was very much sort of having that. I didn't sketch it, I didn't plan it out, it was just intuition. I just tried to be with the material.
Just curious.
Feel it.
I noticed that you put your work in front of the map. What was the map for?
That's okay. That's a map of Matthew Flinders' circumnavigation of Australia. So this was hanging up in my mum's and dad's lounge room above the piano for the last 30 years. This is just like something that came out of a National Geographic magazine, I think, decades ago. They liked it. They took it to a frame and they had it framed. And they were going to give it to an op shop. And I looked at the frame, and I took the glass out and went, I like that. Okay, so again, that idea of using what's already around and not
bringing it forward. Forward, backward, and forward. Beautiful. And see, the third question is, what medium or materials, which you talked about, have you worked on? You mentioned a few material in the shop. Well,
you can't see it necessarily. Well, I suppose it is in this one. So sometimes I distress the fabric or the way I treat it. If I'm working with a very small piece, so for example, it's a bit hard to see, but right up in the start here, there is some gold, like a, what do you call it, synthetic material. A polyester. And once I started to trim it, it's like cotton, you make trim and forget it on the right way, it just rips, you're able to treat it that way. But with a lot of polyesters, we're not able to do that. So I just had to cut it down. But once I started, the piece was so small, I just started stitching and it started falling apart. So I don't throw that away. I will keep working with that. So there will be bits and pieces of material in there that started to deteriorate, or for example, say like this blue and this brown was originally one piece of material, so it was meant to, I suppose, have the effect for the original purchaser of the material that you had that blue, brown mix of colour. But once I looked at it, I realised there was 2 layers and they were kind of stuck together, so I could peel it apart. And then I love that you can see, the warp and the weft. And then, if you pull on it, it just comes away. So I don't care about that. So that's something that I will play with, that idea of it not being finished, the idea of it not being neat. And yet, there's still all those use of embroidery stitches, like straight stitch, which is everyone should know what straight stitch is. There's something called whip stitch in there. There's satin stitch. There's French knots.
Wow.
There's a whole heap of embroidery techniques in there that I forgot what the other one's called. Anyway, couching. There's couching in there. So, but again, I'm not trying to make go of my stitch work. No, it's a feeling thing. Yeah.
It's a feeling sense.
Yeah. And if I don't like it, I unpick it. You make an error with paint, it's a bit different. So, yeah.
All right. Number 4. How do you see the influence of Joan Miro about your style of work?
Yeah. So,
you mentioned a little bit about it. Elaborate that a little.
So, definitely for me, I think, working in an abstract way, because the bulk of his catalogue is abstract.
Yeah.
And I think once he started moving into working with his subconscious and presenting, I suppose, some aspect of his subconscious and connection to the everything that's, I suppose, within us and beyond us. It's so weird to talk about sometimes. I find it hard to find the words. So for me, working with a thread or with a piece of fabric or with a found object, I sort of have this feeling of every single thing that brought all of those elements to me. And so it's almost like I'm trying to meditate and work, like I said, intuitively as I do it. So as I was stitching this, there were so many moments where, like for example, I was working with some second-hand thread, some vintage thread, and I was looking at the thread. It was really old wooden bobbin it was on, and then I started to think about, where was it originally a plant? How many hands had worked to sew that plant? How long had that plant been in the ground for? Where in the world had it come from? The machines that then manufactured it, the fact that it went to shops then, and the journey that particular item has taken to reach me. But also then, further back from that, so in order for that moment in time to exist, there was all these other small moments in time that had to occur from point 0 of the universe being created.
Those together like a good stitch.
Yeah. So sometimes I look at Miro's work and I think and I've read that he's trying to express this sort of idea that even though he's working from the subconscious, it's something that's coming from without him, but also within him.
Right.
So that micro and that macro and that connection of everything and the oneness, I suppose. I hope that's answered that question.
Good.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
Sounds really interesting. Oh, what challenges did you experience? What challenge you were involved in? And you again mentioned doing this history of the painting.
Yeah.
So it's a big challenge to connect all that stuff.
It is, and I suppose the other challenge is time.
Time. Yeah.
Time is a big one because it is a slow art form. Right. I don't pull out the sewing machine. I've been tempted to. There was a few moments I was like, easy if I just ran those together with the sewing machine, but then it wouldn't have the same end product. It would be different. So big challenges, like everything that I had kind of started from, like I said, this experimentation. Once I started looking at the pictures that I was going to use, like with the pale blue dot that I did, to to me that sort of connected with the blue, I started experimenting with, well, how do I bring me into it? And then I sort of started thinking about my love of denim and cotton, and again the line. But this just sort of happened. It all happened naturally.
It just happened.
Bleaching. It was just an experimentation, and I liked where it ended up. And then moving on to the postcards again, it was just me going, oh wow, look at that. Where is that in the world? That could exist on the earth, but in a different colour, in a different way. It's recognisable, but it's not. Again, I would practice. And then I came to Dying Star, and this was my final piece. And I love the image. It's an iconic image for people that are aware of astrophotography.
Yeah.
But I hadn't at once ever doubted myself with any of the pieces. They just seemed to unfold. The materials came to me. I knew where I was going and what I was doing. I really struggled with Dying Star. Even when I started to experiment with it, as much as I don't mind looking at that personally, I couldn't connect with it in the same way. There was something within me that was resisting it.
Wow.
So I had a moment of this doubt where I was going, well, what if I work on it a different way? So I can remember I did all these transfers using paint, and then you peel off the photocopy onto the fabric. And then I thought, what if I use fabric paint? And I tried to then stitch over that. And then I was trying to do all these things. And then I just went, just work the way you worked before. Just grab your cloth, grab your colours, and start working out. So what I found interesting about this too was it was a real departure from more using cotton and linen and denim, and I much prefer natural textiles, whereas this is all like polyesters and synthetics and bleh. Sorry, I really don't like them. But everything kept, every time I picked something up, that's what needed to be worked with. But it was difficult to stitch because it was polyester. I found it hard to connect with. I don't know why. Again, obviously working on that subconscious level.
Sketching the material and then you put it all together.
Yeah, and then I moved my scale it up. Because for a while I was considering using my experiment and then tailing it back. But again, I just didn't like the material. But where the choices, what I find interesting is with the fabrics I have, some of them have come from my own clothes that I've discarded, or fabric that I may have bought. So, for example, my own fabric from my formal dress from 1990.
Wow.
So we made it, and I still have fabric from my formal dress. I still have fabric from my wedding dress. So these things are things that I've kept over the years. So these major parts of the fabric in Dying Star were from my years of being with a choir, and it was our uniform. So this was a top we used to have to wear at Christmas time. And then there was like a black kind of gauzy material that was another part of our top. And then the red in it was a scarf we had to wear. So I thought that was quite interesting that those things were always working together for me. But again, I think if I was to do it again, I don't know that I'd do that.
You wouldn't do it again. That's once at a time.
But yeah, I want to know why though. Why that one is subconsciously I'm having resistance with it. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, there's a struggle between the mind and thinking, right, and the intuitive activity, and the hands.
Yes.
It's all together. Piecing together. That's a big challenge.
It was. Interesting.
Very interesting.
But I did enjoy when I made the decision with that one again to find a tapestry to mount it on, so a second-hand tapestry. So that was interesting, which again, it's obviously another part of gallery, but so I've got a few tapestries at home now. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with you? For the future, yeah. But I suppose there's a joy in the challenge as well.
Yeah. And learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inspired,
Yeah.
learning, what we together, how.
Yeah.
Yeah, and meeting of it eventually emerges.
But then when I think about it on a deeper level, again, I'm always about these levels of things. When you research textile usage and textile production, so obviously synthetic fibres take longer to break down in landfill, and we have so much textile waste in landfill, it's not fun. And the Dying Star image, the Helix Nebula, I'm not sure where it is within the cosmos, but the scientists who study stars, in particular this one, they look at, apparently there's a white dwarf star that...
the dwarf star,
that then it died. So as a result of dying, it sort of broke apart, and now it's sort of coming back in, and I think there might be a black hole at the centre of it now.
Yeah, the black hole attracts the star.
Yeah, and so from Earth, the scientists and people that are the experts on these things are viewing it so that they can kind of go, oh, this is what's going to happen with our sun, our star. And I just found that kind of very fascinating that some ever actually play a part in our physical life.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a connection again across the cosmos that we are feeling because it's part of the oneness. But that I was led to using polyesters and synthetics. And that whole kind of like connection of our solar system one day no longer being, we will be part of the dying star because the planets and the solar system will just get sucked into it.
Particles.
Yeah.
The human, everything is alive, the particles of the universe.
That's right.
And there you are, we're doing it, putting it together.
Yeah. So I go, is that a coincidence that's happened, or is that part of that one connection thing?
Universal stuff.
So yeah, what a jibber jabber. Can make sense of that? No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Pretty satisfied?
Oh yeah, everyone but Dying Star. Yeah, and I want to keep working on my postcards and do all the planets now and do my poems around the outside. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out.